Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News. We're here today with Mr. Stuffs, and apparently, 2018 is going to be a brand new year. As we know, as you guys all know, we've done a video on this as well as others, have shined a light on what is Phil's situation. What was Phil's problem? What was it that was keeping Phil up at night? It was the taxes. It was the tax man. Apparently, Seattle, Washington's tax organization over there came to realize that Phil was filling it up. And apparently he thought he was going to skim by. And for 3 years, he almost did. For 3 years, he had a pretty decent run. But the tax man always gets his due. With that being said, Phil has to make some changes. Over the last couple of evenings, Phil has gotten a rather significant amount of money. Some pretty decent money, in fact. Some people speculate that he's somewhere at about the $5,000 mark with tips, donations, subs, bits, and cheers. It's a pretty good amount of money. It's halfway towards the $10,000 that he really needs. Some people are saying that he may actually need $40,000 for some unknown cause. That right there is just speculation. Please don't take that to heart. We're not sure about that yet. We're still investigating. But Phil now is in a desperate point. So desperate, in fact, that his Paymetons is going to need to be revised a little bit. There's going to be some changes that are going to need to be made. With that being said, is it possible that the people who give him money month in, month out will finally have some control of a situation? Can they finally dictate terms to Phil, and Phil now has to accept it? Well, we don't know. Should be interesting nonetheless. As well as Phil's going to be harping along about some type of Patreon goal for next month that's supposed to be absolutely amazing. I think he's talking about his Christmas Patreon goal, which will probably be lame, but that's neither here nor there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just here to report the news to you. The late news. DSP News. And that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go in, we'll see what this is about, and hopefully you guys enjoy your day. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network and Productions. You guys all know the slogan, so let's go.
Evo Kale Watat is asking about the public-facing Patreon goal because he's confused. You can never trust what it says on my Patreon page, folks, for two reasons. Number one, because it automatically is accounting for or thinking that people are going to get declined. That's number one, and a lot of times people don't. Number two, it only counts what's a current pledge, and already this month I had someone who was actually a Nobert, right, who earlier this month did a $200+ pledge, but he didn't want to be charged that again, so he lowered his pledge, and when he lowered it, it accounted for that in the total. So if you say, oh, I'll pledge $200, it counts as 200, but then if you lower it to 5, the total changes back down as if you only pledged 5. So right now, technically, all right, add around 200 roughly to what you're seeing right now on the Patreon page, and that's correct. The problem is if you add 200 to 900, which is what it says right now, we're under the goal. We haven't hit the goal. See what I mean? And that's what I'm nervous about. If everyone's pledges who Patreon is assuming will be declined get declined, we're not going to hit the goal right now. We do need more pledges. All right?
There's a problem with that, ladies and gentlemen. Because of all of the extra money that he was getting in donations and so on and so forth. Some big pledges, by the way. 100, 200, so on and so forth. For them, they probably don't look at Patreon. They don't have enough money to give to Patreon. So he has to bring in new pledges, meaning that he needs to bring in new people. It's like a Ponzi scheme in a lot of ways. He should probably try to run it as a Ponzi scheme, where he needs to bring in new investors to cover the old investors. Or in his case, the ones that don't have enough money or the ones that have chosen to leave. That's what he needs to constantly keep bringing in fresh blood. And he can't do that. He can't do that at all. Now, granted, in my comment section, in some of my videos, you'll see people coming out the woodwork saying, "Hey, man, you know, you're going kind of hard on him. Why do you feel the need to do this? Why do you feel to do that? Yada 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 yada." Nothing that you don't see in anybody else's comment sections. The difference is, though, is some of these people have admitted that they don't give Phil money. So why are you defending him then? What are you defending him for if you don't give him money? You shouldn't care. If you're there just for his content, then enjoy his content and keep it moving. I'm just saying. But then that's a problem in itself, because a lot of Phil's fans don't donate to him. Not to say that you should. I'm not telling you to do it. I would tell you very much do not do that. He put himself in this mess. You don't owe him shit. So if you're a casual fan, you want to come in, you want to see his playthroughs, you want to get a chuckle and leave, then by all means, take your Coke and smile and be happy with that. But outside of that, don't sit there and try to defend him if you're just a casual fan. That just seems kind of silly. You know what I'm saying? If you're invested in him, I mean really invested in him, because theoretically you're invested. Well, here's the thing. I guess if you watch his content, you are invested in him. You're investing your time into him. But for the people who really try to go hard in the paint on some of these detractor channels, those are people who throw money into it. Now, I'm not saying that your time is not the equivalent to their money. That'd be foolish. What I'm saying is that people who do put money in, though, they have a whole lot more to lose. You may lose, 15, 20 minutes. No big deal. You'll probably waste that on some bullshit YouTube video anyway. Maybe this one. But for them, these guys are busting their asses on a regular basis to make sure that their pig alimony payments are on time. It's a bit much. But the thing is you can say what you want to say here, because you can't go to Phil's comment section and say that without getting shadow banned or thrown off altogether or blocked. So, I don't know. You know, it is what it is. You're more than welcome to say what you want to say. But at the end of the day, where does that really get you? And if you're someone who is a casual fan and you want to see some changes being made, don't throw money at him. Don't do that, because that's what Phil does. That's why he's in this tax problems now, because he throws essentially his Patreon supporters' money at an issue and it didn't work. So now someone just walked away with his cash. If that story is even true. But let's continue.
There you go. It'll be a 6 to 7 hour marathon. It'll be...
Now keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, 6 or 7 hour marathon, as Almighty Tevin has pointed out quite a few times in the past, that's just how long the stream's going to be. It's not going to be how much gameplay or entertainment, quote unquote, you're going to get out of it. So you're probably only paying for 5.5 hours worth of gameplay. You're not going to get 6 to 7 hours of actual gameplay. Just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen.
Me dressed up in an ugly Christmas sweater, drinking some kind of holiday-themed liquor the entire time and having fun with you guys here right before Christmas.
Now, another thing that someone pointed out, is his name Ardnett? Argnot? I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, man. I can't think of your name at the moment. But he had actually said on one of his streams recently that he thought that when Phil is under the influence, those are some of his best work. He's actually pretty entertaining. I think Almighty Tevin has said something similar to that also. So, but yet again, Phil is so high-strung and he's so paranoid that anything he says will be taken out of context. Anything he says will get screwed over and whatnot. So he's scared to do it. So I don't expect him to be drinking really anything. He may say he's chucking on the holiday eggnog like I do here, but he ain't gonna have nothing in it. It's just gonna be regular eggnog. Regular eggnog is like vanilla ice cream. It's kind of bland. We all love vanilla ice cream, but sometimes you want some French vanilla. Sometimes you want some strawberry in it. Yeah, some people like some caramel in it. Whatever your particular taste is. But I doubt Phil's gonna get saucy on that holiday stream. I very likely doubt it and whatnot. But at the same time, is that what you're paying for? Are you paying for him to have an ugly ass sweater that no one gives a shit about and for him to be drinking? Just something to think about, ladies and gentlemen. DSP News.
It's going to be great. That's why I want to do it, all right? So that's one thing I wanted to alert everyone, all right? Please, folks, be careful. Please, pledge if you can. Let's make this marathon happen. Last thing I would want is now it doesn't happen after I've been saying that we hit the goal and it looks like we're going to be good for it, and then it doesn't happen. That would really, really suck, all right? So that's number one. Number two, FYI, folks, I've decided what the goal is going to be for next month's Patreon. It's going to be the best Patreon goal I've ever done, in my opinion. And next year, the year of 2018, my Patreon is changing. The way that I do these monthly goals is not going to be based off of Patreon pledges anymore. I'm going to explain a little bit about that. I'll give you a rough rundown right now, but I'll talk more about it as we...
Now, that's going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen, because at the end of the day, you're still going to have to pledge. Ladies and gentlemen of this audience, if you're a supporter of Phil's, you're still going to have to pledge to the Patreon. He's still going to want you to hit the Patreon goal. It's just he's going to go about it. He's figuring out another way to get even more money out y'all. Paymetons isn't enough. Now we got to ramp things up a little bit. So and I assume he's going to do it. The best way for him to do it is to go through Twitch subscriptions. I would assume that would be the best way for that to help. And the reason why is he needs to get his subscriber count up, and it needs to he really needs that to get up. And another fun fact, this is all alleged, by the way, so take it for a grain of, take it with a grain of salt, is during his Thanksgiving stream, the last part of it in particular, where he was up to, what, 1,700 viewers or something like that? Some people say they might have been view bots. It's just what they say. And I think somewhere on Phil's Twitter, he may have mentioned the same thing. If I can find it, I'll put it up on screen for you guys. But yeah, it looks like Phil has another way of figured out another way to finesse you guys out of your hard-earned money. If you're a Phil supporter, of course. DSP News.
We get closer. So the way we do it right now, folks, right, is people pledge to my Patreon and they earn these personal perks, right? They do. But then they also contribute to the monthly goal, right? That's how it works. Well, what I'm finding, folks, is that this year a lot of people are contributing to me via the streams rather than Patreon, because the streams are more of the interactive stuff that I'm focusing on now, right? Some people have even said, the perks are fine, but you've pretty much reached kind of the peak level. It's going to be between 150 to 200 people that are going to pledge to you for those existing perks. And the marathons are nice, but people want to get recognition on stream. They want to,
But then again, ladies and gentlemen, this comes back to something that was reported maybe earlier in the month or last month. I know I've done a video on it. I may have spoke about it in passing, where people in his streams have been saying, hey, Phil, a lot of your Patreon goals are really targeted towards YouTube. But YouTube doesn't mean shit to him now because he's not getting anything out of it. He's been blacklisted, yada, yada, yada. So a lot of people, well, a few people, actually a lot of people have been saying to him, or at least trying to, that Phil, please change your Patreon goals to focus more on the people who contribute and go to your streams, not YouTube. Which he should have taken that advice a while ago, but he didn't want to because he's lazy, and he wanted to try to bleed YouTube for as much as he can. Which, don't get it twisted, he's still making okay money over there. It is what it is. So now he's trying to go ahead and switch everything over to focus on Twitch. He's trying to focus in, which he should have already done. But now he wants to go ahead and change the Patreon goals, in my opinion, to focus on Twitch now, which he should have already done. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, that's where the money's at and whatnot. So why would you ignore what is now the major moneymaker for you? It doesn't make any sense, especially with the whole demonetization thing on YouTube.
What I mean, they want to be part of the streams. They don't really care about Patreon. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change it. All right? I'm going to change it. Here we go. You ready? Here's how it's going to be. In 2018, I'm going to base the events, meaning the playthroughs, if I'm going to do a special like playthrough of a game, a marathon, etc. I'm going to base these events not on how much I raise on Patreon. I'm going to base it on the number of subscriptions and subscribers that I have here on Twitch. And the way I'm going to do it to start, all right? The way I'm going to do it to start is it's going to be based off of what I saw could basically potentially be my maximum subscribers plus a few, because I want to be able to get that. So really, I just saw this past weekend, all right, the maximum number of subscribers I've ever had at once here on my Twitch channel was 308. We hit that actually, when I say this weekend, it is the weekend. It was this past week.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, 308 ain't shit. Jesus Christ. I think the, what is the requirements to be a partner on Twitch? I think you have to have, what, 500? I mean, to be partnered, I should say. So you have to have, what? I think it varies per person, so kind of bear with me on this. But you have to have something about, let me try to go back to like LTG. I think it was something anywhere in between 450 and 500 subscribers or viewers consistently. And then you get partnered, and then you had to, and I guess you had to keep your subscribers at some point. I don't think that actually affects your once you get partnered with Twitch, how many subscribers that you have to have consistently. But most people who are partnered have 500, have 500 subscribers or more, I would guess. At least some of the channels that I watch that aren't even big channels, by the way. These are just regular dudes and young ladies who get up there and just throw any random game on, and within the span of 20 minutes, there's almost 1,000 people in there. But 500 of them are subscribers at any given time, more or less, with more people joining. 308 is nothing. And this is someone who's been on Twitch for years. Yeah, he took a break for a little while, but he should have way more than that. So he's fighting to maintain 300 instead of trying to shoot forward and try to get 500 or 1,000, which is what he needs. And so that's why this situation is going the way it is. He still wants Patreon. Don't get it twisted. The difference is now is he needs more exposure on Twitch. He thinks that Twitch is trying to spotlight him. So he needs to make himself look good by getting more subscribers. I've said this before, as well as others. He needs 500 to 1,000. Easy. But like people have said, a lot of the people who watch him are dead subscribers or dead viewers. They're people just to go in, see the drama, and get out. You know what I mean? And then you may have some detractors in there every once in a while. But other than that, between the ban hammer, between the Gestapo chat, there's nothing there for you on his Patreon. There's nothing there at all. So why would anybody want to subscribe to him? Why would anybody want to join that? Why am I toxic? Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And he's already partnered with Twitch. I know some of you guys are going to point that out. But 500 subscribers ain't shit. And really, it's probably not even, or 300 subscribers isn't shit. 308. He's probably really only has like 280, 270 maybe. Because I'm sure he's going to point out that last month, a lot of that was just troll. A few of those were just troll subscriptions. Which he knew what that was about. So it is what it was. So this drop that he's getting ready to talk about, he knew it was already coming. That's neither here nor there. DSP News.
Middle of the week, I had 308 concurrent subscribers. Okay? What I want to do, all right, is I want to have it so I consistently have 300, and I want to add to that for us.
See what I'm saying? Shooting low.
To sell.
He should try to go for 500 concurrent subscribers and build off that, or 1,000. But what are you gonna do?
Celebrate and do these special events. So what I think I'm going to do, for example, in the month of January, okay, is if I can hit 350 concurrent subscribers in January during the month at any point, then I'll do a special event, you know, in February or March or whatever. But the way it's going to work, all right, the way it's going to work is patrons, people who pledge to my Patreon, are going to still have the capability to control the events. So total number of subs on Twitch determines if I do the event. Patrons will control the event. So, for example, let's
wait a second. You've done something like this before. He's done something like this before. Not actually with Twitch though. He's done it with Patreon, where he's like, if we what was it? He did it a couple months ago, and he got called out on it, where he said, okay, the monthly goal is going to be this, and if we hit the goal, then I'm going to do this too. I think it has something to do with the Halloween movie marathon, the Halloween horror video game marathon, where, what was it? He said that the goal is the Halloween video game marathon, but if we hit the goal, then you guys get to choose my outfit. Or it might have been the other way around. It was one of the two. And we all saw how that worked. So now, Patreon, people on Patreon still have control of the event, but he's also trying to squeeze them out, trying to squeeze more money out of other people to contribute to his stream so he can have his numbers look good. But in truth, Phil will always have the final say, so none of that matters. Phil will still play whatever he wants, and he's just giving you guys the illusion of control. Or say so. This is worthless. Hopefully people see through that. This is already sounds like bullshit. DSP News.
I'm just making this up. Let's say in
Sorry, I'm a little cranky when I'm sober. Not really.
January, my goal is I'm going to play, I don't know. I'm going to pull any game out of a fucking hat. I'm going to play Sonic the Lost World. I'm not saying that's it, because I don't think a lot of people would want to see me play that anyway.
Well, the point is letting them choose the games. Not you. That's the fucking problem. Let me calm down. I'm breaking character. That's the problem in the first place, Phil. You should be letting them pick the actual game. Not the games that you want to play, and then you throw it up there and hope that they choose one that you want. Let them select the games that they want for the system that you're playing it on. PS4 mainly. So you should have, so essentially, here, let's try this. 5 games, and within your community, they choose. So guess what? That means people would have to sign up to that fucking Nazi Germany fucking forum that you have over there. They would have to sign up for the forum, so now you have your infamous line, I have your IP, and I have your address. Either way, they would have to. You could make them sign up there. I'm not condoning this, but I'm just saying you could make them sign up there, and then let them choose a line of goals or a list of goals. I'm sorry, a line of goals, a list of goals. Then take 5 of those games, the top 5 games that are chosen. You know what I mean, or have the largest numbers. Take that shit to Patreon, or no, take it to Twitter. Take it to Twitter and hold a poll, okay? And then there you go. Now you have your poll for the top 10 games, even, I guess. Say top 10 games. Then move the top 5, those 10 games, move 5 of them over there to Patreon, and then those are the games that they can vote on. And then since it's a marathon, break it up. An hour and a half for this game, an hour and a half for this game, and so on and so forth. Do it like that. But the point of all that is, I'm sorry for all that, for all that extra. But the point is they should be choosing the games, not you. You shouldn't be choosing the games. They should. The people who give you their money should be the ones that choose the games, not you choose the games and then hope they vote for the game that you want. That shit doesn't work, and you should already know that. So if you're really trying to switch up your Patreon goals for 2018, that's what should happen. But that's not what's going to happen, is it, Phil? It's the same old dog and pony show. It's still the broke man Jedi mind trick. You're just you're just twisting it just slightly to see if they don't get it. So you're not trying to make, using another Star Wars reference, especially with how Star Wars Battlefront 2 just got tanked. That's a damn shame. Anyway, instead of you trying to build these Padawans and actually turn them into Jedis, you just want to keep them Padawans because they're easier to control that way. Sounds to me like it's the same old trick in 2018. That's what it sounds like. We'll have to see. Let's see how it plays out. DSP News.
Let's say that was the goal. So if I hit 350 concurrent subs on Twitch anytime during the month of January, then I'm going to do a playthrough of that. Okay? But, alright, actually, let me do it this way. Let me adjust that. It's not Sonic the Lost World, it's a Sonic playthrough. If I hit 350 subs in January, it's a Sonic playthrough, guaranteed. But then it will be the patrons who pledge in January, alright, who nominate and vote on the Sonic games that they want to see me play in the event. See what I mean?
Yeah, so you see what I mean? He's going to lay out the parameters and then hope that you guys choose the games he wants to play to fit those parameters. I'm not a prophet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a prophet. At least I don't try to be.
That's how it's going to be. It's going to be number of subs, right, will motivate people to sub to the channel consistently to get these events happening. But then if you are a contributor on Patreon, you now mold that event. You'll be able to nominate and vote and do that kind of stuff. I think this makes sense. Because there's people on Patreon who are going to be consistent pledgees no matter what, right? So now if you want to be...
If that was the case, then the numbers of the pledgees wouldn't have dropped if that was really true. Here's the point, though. At the end of the day, this stems, in my own personal opinion, from what he tried to do with that Halloween horror video game marathon. Same concept. Using Patreon to have 2 different incentives and hoping that if one is hit, then at least some of that money is guaranteed. If they hit the second part, then there you go. He could consider that the bonus for them. And if they don't hit it, he just walks away with the money. He's just, instead of doing it for, now he's just switching his focus a little bit more. That's all it's going. So we'll have to wait and see.
A part of the event, you sub to my channel, or let me put it this way. If you want the event to happen, you sub to the channel. If you want to be a part of the event and mold it and control it, pledge to the Patreon. Okay?
So you're saying that they have to do both. So subscribe to the channel, to my Twitch channel, and then contribute to Patreon so you can have a say-so. All right, there you go.
I think that's what I'm going to do.
This shit's going to crash and burn. I think. We'll see.
Correct, Majin Buu. That's right. The Twitch subs will determine if I do the event, and then once we determine that the event's going to happen, the patrons will mold the event. All right? Have control over it. So that's a perfect example. An example here. Let's say that it's going to be Patron's Choice playthrough. So if I hit 350 subs. Okay, we're going to have a Patron's Choice playthrough, and then the patrons who pledge $5 or more will be nominating and voting on what games it'll be in the playthrough. Get it?
Now, here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen, at least the way I see it. You do realize that the very people who are going to want to see these playthroughs, if the games are garbage, then they're not going to contribute, first off and foremost. Second thing is, if they're going to be putting money towards Patreon, and if they're going to be putting money, and if they're going to constantly be shelling out money every month to be subscribed to your Twitch channel, you do realize that tips, bits, donations, and other stuff are going to drop off. See, Phil doesn't see that. Phil sees it as, okay, I'm going to add these two, another form of revenue that you guys can give me, but you guys have to maintain everything else. Not realizing that the more he adds, the more of a burden, and that's what it is, a burden that he puts on his subscribers, onto the people who support him. Something has to give. You know what I'm saying? The more that he tries to initiate, something has to fall out of place so this can fall into place. And Phil doesn't look at it that way. That's the thing that gets him in trouble financially all the fucking time anyway, is the fact that he expects everything to stay the same, but I'm going to still add new shit so I can try to get more money out of you guys. Not realizing that, well, well, apparently Brightside Viking ain't pulled some dumb shit. I'll be reporting on that later on. But let's say Brightside Viking, for example, is used to donating $200 to him, you know, which is pretty close, to be honest with you. Well, now he decides to up his subscription from a month or 3 months up to maybe a year now. He'll just pay it all off at once. Well, guess what? He's going to probably have to cut away from his donation. So instead of it being 200, it may only be 100 now. You know what I'm saying? And then if he wants the Patreon goals to hit to keep everybody else motivated, then he might have to give up donating altogether just to make sure that Patreon and Twitch are taken care of. And Phil don't see that. Because, trust me, Brightside Viking doesn't have, at least I'm not, here to count his money, but I would assume he doesn't have the money to support you, Phil. If that's the case, then move him in. Just saying. DSP News.
I think the reason that works, honestly, is because, like I said, more people seem to be motivated to come out to the streams and participate in the streams. They want to see on screen. They want to see that pop-up that says, congratulations, to the new sub. They want to get a verbal shout-out from me on stream, but they also want to contribute to Patreon. And that's the thing, if you guys haven't noticed, a lot of people have been coming out and doing tips, doing subs and cheers, but that doesn't contribute to Patreon because they're completely separate entities. If we do it this way, the events will still be happening, right? But it'll still motivate more people to come to the channel and participate in the channel, which is what I want. So the Twitch channel will grow, and the patrons still get something out of it too. Get it?
No, this is artificial inflation. That's what this is. Phil, let me talk to you for a second, Phil. You already tried tax evasion. It didn't work. Or at least it's not going to work. And that's if that story is even true, to be perfectly honest with you. Now what you're doing is artificial inflation, which is only going to backfire. This can't work in the long term, Phil. If that's the case, just do a Ponzi scheme. It'd be easier. If you want, Phil, have Brightside Viking, go ahead and Golden Colts, go ahead and have them, what's fair? Each one of them send $1,000 to GTG, to GTG's funding. Have them each send $1,000 each, and I'll go ahead and lay out the Ponzi scheme for you. Easy. Super easy. And not only that, but it'll work. And not only that, it'll work in the long term. You might as well just go ahead and make it into a Ponzi scheme. This is terrible. Like I said, you already failed at tax evasion. And I'm kidding, ladies and gentlemen. I would not do that. But this is terrible. This is horrible. How do you expect this to work? And the thing is it's going to fail because it's only made for the short term. And which, to be honest with you, I think that's what Phil wants. I think Phil only wants us to work in the short term. I don't know I know he said that there's a new Twitch event coming up soon. So maybe he's trying to look good for that. Maybe he's trying to inflate his numbers to make him look better for that event that's coming up. I don't know when. Maybe sometime in the next couple months. But this is only going to work in the short term. It's not going to work in the long term. Because Phil doesn't like being dictated to. He hates that. He hates it. That's the reason why he doesn't talk to his parents. Well, besides the fact that he's borrowed so much money that he'll never pay it back. But the inflation, no, this is not going to work in the long term. This is going to fail. It's going to fail. Because wait until more of those games that wait and see when more of those Japanese games that he still has a fan base for, who still love watching that stuff, when they start to come in and be like, hey Phil, we want you to do this, and they throw that big money at him, he's going to be like, well, I want the money, but I don't want to do those games. It's too much of a stress on me. Watch when stuff like that happens, when these type of situations happen, and see how he addresses them. That's when all this stuff will start to fall apart. It'll probably fall apart before that, but that's just an example. DSP News. Riveting.
Yeah, Popsicola was saying, why don't you put a sub meter on screen? I don't think that Muxy has anything like that. I'm pretty sure they don't.
If they don't, then another program does. So you don't have to just use Mugsy. You can use something else too. And it won't, and I don't think they will interfere with each other. So try. Instead of you saying, oh, I don't think I can do that, try. Try hard.
What Muxy has is a tip cup, so you can have like a cup that fills up, but they don't have necessarily a on-screen sub thing. And sadly, I'm not going back to Streamlabs because when I started using it earlier this year, it stopped working after like 2 days. It would not work with OBS properly. It was just crashing constantly. And Muxy since then has worked perfectly, so I'm sticking with Muxy for now.
And see, yet again, this is one of the problems that he has in life in general. He's so scared to try something else because, oh, it didn't work for these 2 days, and so I just left it. He won't go back and at least try to test it out and see if it works now. Just like the whole thing he said a couple weeks ago about wireless headphones. Oh yeah, I had wireless headphones 5 years ago or whatever he said it was. And, oh, they messed up and they interfered and they were crossing with phone lines and whatever bullshit he was saying. And he never went back to it. He never went back to it. Yet when you go and look at most streamers, most of them have wireless headsets. And they don't have any problems with it. But because it's Phil, and Lord knows Phil was the one who got the short end of the stick 5 years ago, he just swears it off. And that's one of the reasons why he's alone.
But what I will do is every day I can update you guys on how many subs we got. So, for example, FYI, the most...
Don't let him do that, ladies and gentlemen, because it's just like Patreon. He'll be able to dictate what you know. Don't do that. Do not do that. Okay? Or unless you guys are going to actually go to one of these detractor channels and get the real numbers from them, because they don't have a reason to lie to you. Phil does.
Subs I ever had at once was 308, and that was about 2-3 days ago. Right now we're down to 285, folks. Okay? We are definitely down to 285. Why are we down to 285? Okay.
There is no, and here, I really have to say this. There is no we, Phil. It's you. These people's livelihoods don't depend on this. Yours does. There is no we.
Here's why. Here's why we're down to 285. Because during last month's event where I was promoting Twitch extensions, remember this was the special stream of Choice Chamber that was being broadcast at TwitchCon? We had about 20 to 30 troll subs that came in, and they were troll accounts, Twitch Prime, free trial accounts, to basically come in and say insulting things to me during the stream. Because if you sub when you're playing Choice Chamber, you get on-screen stuff the whole time. So that's what happened, is basically 20 to 30 subs have fallen off that weren't real subs. They were just troll subs for that event. So my goal, let's say come January, would be, can we get up to 350 subs? Because if we do, that's amazing. Now let's do a fun event to celebrate. And then if you were a patron contributor, here, you use your power as a patron to mold and control the event. That's what I'm thinking, okay? That's what I'm thinking.
Riveting.
We'll see how it goes. But anyway, like I said, this month, we're in jeopardy. I need more people to pledge to Patreon to ensure that we're definitely doing the Christmas Marathon, folks, so please do if you can. And next month, I've got the best idea ever for Patreon. And really, the reason I'm doing it that month, no lie, is because I need the money right now with this...
You mean like how you need the money this month?
Whole tax situation I'm in. I need the money, and that money, anything that's pledged to my Patreon now or next month, I'll get in time to pay the taxes, okay? So that's why I'm worried about this. So it's going to be the best thing ever. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, next month's goal is the best ever. I can't wait to tell you what it is because you're going to flip. You guys are going to flip when you hear this. Got to pay the tax, man.
Okay, so that's going to be garbage, as you guys might have guessed, but that is what it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so Phil is looking to make some big changes next month because he's desperate. And trust me, if it wasn't a tax situation, he would keep trucking along and using the Patreon as his own personal Paymetons piggy bank, and he wouldn't give a damn about what anybody thinks. He's only doing this now because he has no choice. And for all of you out there who are Phil supporters and be like, you know, it's unfair for you guys to talk about him like that, this, that, and the third. He put his own information out there. No one put a gun to his head and forced him to do it. It is what it is. And to be perfectly honest with you, I guess in a lot of ways that's your fault, not ours. Because if you guys were paying him tons, he wouldn't have this problem. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you. You know, as I said earlier on in this video, your time, you've already invested in him if you've invested your time. For those people who have chosen to go the next step and invest money into him, so be it. But it's very obvious that it's not enough, and it'll never be enough. I don't know when you guys are going to learn, but it's never going to be enough. Look at this now. This right here now is bullshit, and you should be able to tell. If you have to go back and rewind it a few times, or go to Mr. Stuff's channel and catch the thing there without all the extra that I put in, then go ahead. But there's something very wrong about that. This right here is the same bullshit. He's just twisted it up a little bit. He's just fixed it up a little bit. He's just dressed it up a little bit. You know what I mean? He's very good at making you guys feel like you're really important to him, but you're not. You're not. Because if John, Howard, OJ, all his chums back in Connecticut don't mean shit to him, if Leanna didn't mean shit to him, what the hell makes you think you guys do? Because you invested your money into him? Because you go over there and you jump to his streams to try to inflate his numbers? Because you guys are over here still watching his videos even though he's not making any money on it? To try to build his viewership up so he can get himself back into the search, which he threw himself out of? What's next, ladies and gentlemen? You guys going to go over there and start doing his yard work for him? If he's going to even have a yard, he might not have that very long. And as I said in my video talking about his taxes, if that house isn't sold, he fucked you guys. If that house doesn't get sold, he fucked you guys. Just keep that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, this was DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network and Productions. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're a fan of Phil's, whether you're a fan of the tractors, whatever your case may be, it's a dangerous world out there. It's a crazy world out there. It's a very irresponsible world out there, especially with people like Phil in it. This is GTG signing off in the broadcast.